Hello, I'm Aida Smith. I live in a rural area outside Wellington, New Zealand. I started life in a totally different rural landscape, that of central Maine. Maine's a very far northeastern United States state. I started creatively in photography. I was about 10 years old when I got my first SLR camera. I used to run outside in my socks in the snow to capture things when the light was good. And I kept taking art through high school and some at university, but I'd never even considered going to art school properly. And that was really because I didn't enjoy the critique parts of it. I'm just too sensitive to hear all the critiques. And I really just wanted to do art because I loved it. Fast forward a few years, I had children. I moved to New Zealand. I kept doing tons of photography in my spare time. I did some printing and I did some textile art. As the kids grew up, though, I found I had more and more time to do things. And about 3 years ago, I really wanted to do something with color mixing. It was like I was dreaming about mixing colors. So I finally, after about a 25-year break, picked up paintbrushes. And I started to just play. The early life that influenced the art I'm doing now is massively about what my grandmother and my mother loved. So they were both flower gardeners, and it's just such a huge connection. It runs all the way through my art. There was, every time we would go out for a walk, we would be naming the flowers all around us, and it's just a big connection that I've got to that maternal line. Aside from my mother and my grandmother's influences, the artists that have influenced me, probably the most being George O'Keeffe and Ansel Adams when I was very young. And as I got older, Lois Dodd and Fairfield Porter and Milton Avery. And today I love Instagram for all the amazing artists that I see. Georgina Hobby-Scott is a New Zealand artist, Poppy Dodge, Sue Charles, Ann Becker, Sarah Golden. There's so many amazing artists, and I just go there and stuff my eyeballs with beautiful art. Right now I'm focusing on doing flowers from a really different perspective. The series I'm working on now is called South, and it's really about changing how you view the world, because sometimes we really can't change the world. And this is just a representation of that totally different perspective. I think because I didn't go to art school, I really chafe against the rules of art, the way still life is usually done. It looks beautiful for other people, but I get bored doing it, and I'm always wanting to experiment and do something a bit rule-breaking and a bit different. The biggest challenge for me of being an artist is just how extroverted I think artists need to be to put themselves out there. As I get older, I'm more and more shy and private. It's really hard for me to want to talk about my art in public, and I just want to be quiet and just working at home. But I do try, and it's probably the thing I work on the most. The advice I'd give to myself, if I could, way back then, is just to keep practicing with art. You improve when you practice. And I took to heart negative criticism and just thought, well, I'm not talented, I'm not good. And it wasn't until I was much older and really took off all those rules that I started to get better just by practicing. I've tried some unconventional techniques. Probably the strangest one was getting a scanner and building a black box around it and laying flowers on it and scanning, making the flowers digital, and then working with them in Photoshop. I did that about 20 years ago, and it was really fun, and it's kind of strange how much my art today has come back to very colorful flowers. When I'm painting, if I'm working at the easel, I'll usually be playing music, and I kind of move around and dance to it, and that's really nice to move my body and paint. But if I'm sitting and doing watercolor or something like that, I'll usually be listening to true crime podcasts, which are my dirty secret. The best reaction someone's ever had to my artwork was when they described my work as being fine art. And that was such an amazing compliment. And I really, really appreciate every time someone says something nice, because I love to hear that someone's looking and it makes them happy. Absolutely what I want people to take away from my work is a kind of comfort. To me, I'm a bit of an anxious person, and the world is a bit of a hard place. So I'm going to art to make a kind of soft, peaceful, comforting, soothing work. And that's what I want people to feel from it.